been a little while, hasn't it? The last time I think we spoke, I was about to jet off to the UK for Christmas, and jet off to the UK I did. However, on the plane to Istanbul, I decided to leave my phone there. And so for the entire trip to the UK, I was, well, not without a phone, because I borrowed an ancient phone that my parents had lying around the house, so I could communicate, but yeah, I had no phone. We did have a great time. Then when I came back, I was kind of not really thinking about making videos, and then the longer I left it, the more awkward I felt about it. So I thought I would just ease myself in with a nice little sit down video such as this. I did also want to make a video at the weekend because I ran a 10k at the weekend, my first 10k race, and only second time I did a race, and I won. No, I didn't. Well, I don't know why I said that. See, I'm being a bit awkward. Regardless, I wanted to show you some books because I did a massive route through the charity shops for some books because they're quite expensive here. Anyway, I bought some books in the UK and brought a whole backpack of books as my check-in luggage. I also wanted to talk to you about some books that I've been reading since... Actually, I've never spoken to you about books, I don't think. But we'll start with that and then we'll go into the haul, I guess. So this is one that I didn't actually buy in the UK. I bought it here. Actually, it was a gift. But it's The Green Mile by Stephen King. I've never actually read a Stephen King book before. I think I tried to read it once, but it was just too much for me at the time. So this was the first one I read. And it did take me a really long time to read this, but as soon as I'd finished, I was like, I want to read another Stephen King one. I think Under the Dome is going to be my next read. I saw somewhere that this was a good one to be your first Stephen King book, and I've never watched the movie, so I didn't really know the premise of it. And when it starts to get into, I don't want to spoil anything just in case someone wants to read it or watch it. When it starts to get into what is unique about John Coffey, I was a bit like, but I did actually really love it. And just, he is an incredible writer. I could just see everything in my mind as he was writing. And anyway, if you've never read this, I really do recommend it. It was not the easiest read. I mean, it's quite a morbid subject, literally. But yeah, I did really like it, and I do think I want to try Stephen King more, although I don't have any Stephen King in this haul. So that'll be after I've read all of these. The next book I read this year is one that I bought from a charity shop in the UK, and it was Days at the Morisaki Bookshop. And I think after reading this was exactly what I needed. It's obviously a very small book. How many pages is it? Just 170 pages. And it was just a really sweet, a little bit cheesy at times, but just exactly what I needed. After this, I actually really preferred the second half of the book. It's kind of split into two, one that you're reading about the actual protagonist, and then the second you're kind of finding a bit more about her aunt and uncle. And yeah, I actually prefer the second half, which surprised me because I thought I wouldn't care about the second half. But I'm someone who really loves really rich descriptions when I'm reading, and I feel like the second half offered that a bit more to me. So yes, that was the second book I read this year. I mean, it is only the 17th of February, and my goal is to kind of read 2 books a month, so I'm kind of on track for that. Obviously, if I don't, it's not a big deal. But I read The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. My mum is actually a big fan of Lucy Foley, so I got this from her rather than buying it. I also read The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley last year, also nicked this from my mum, and I really enjoyed this one. Sorry, that was my dog if you heard her. And my mum had said this was her favourite one by Lucy Foley. I didn't really like it that much. I felt it quite slow and that like not really anything was happening. I also personally didn't really like any of the characters, so I wasn't really like rooting for anyone. I didn't care what had happened or who did it, without giving too much away. I found like the protagonist quite, I don't know, I just didn't really like any of the characters, so I wasn't really rooting for anyone. I did quite like Mimi, I guess, who's like, oh, I almost spoiled something in the book, I think. Mimi is a character in the book, who lives in the apartment building, and I guess I was rooting for her a little bit, but yeah, I much preferred The Midnight Feast. So those are the books that I've read so far this year. Now we're on to the other books I have that I haven't yet read, and perhaps you could help me to pick the next book, if you read any of these. So I did also pinch 2 more Lucy Foley books from my mum, The Hunting Party and The Guest List. I think I want to read The Guest List before The Hunting Party. I don't think they're in like any order or anything, but one is in a remote hunting lodge deep in the Scottish wilderness, old friends gather for New Year. That does sound quite good actually. And then this one, off the windswept Irish coast, guests gather for the wedding of the year. So I quite like things that are set in like rural, coastal, I don't know. So those I think I might prefer to The Paris Apartment, but yeah, my mum said The Paris Apartment was her favourite, so I don't know, we'll see how that goes. I just think also there might be more, I keep on going on about how I love like heavy descriptive books, so yeah, maybe I'll enjoy those. Then the next 3 books, this is kind of not a haul because I haven't mentioned anything I bought yet except for one book, which is also the same for these 3 books. These are the little trilogy by Richard Osman. I asked for one of these books for I said to my friend to either get me one of these or The Green Mile for my birthday last year. Obviously they got me The Green Mile, and then so for Christmas, my mum and my sister got me, I can't remember who got me which one, but whatever. So it's The Thursday Murder Club, The Bullet That Missed, and The Man Who Died Twice. I don't actually know what order they're in, I just know that this is the first one. Oh, this is the second one, the blue one. I saw this came out on Netflix and I haven't watched it because I want to read them first. I'm very much I want to read it first, picture it in my head, and then watch it and be like, oh, like that's how it was supposed to be, or whatever. So I don't know, I kind of want to read this next, but I'm kind of on the Lucy, I don't know, I'm not sure. If you read these, let me know what you thought, because yeah, I'm very excited to find these. Also, the thing was, I got these for Christmas, and then after Christmas, I went and did like a little charity shop rummage for some books, and I found all 3 of them in the charity shop for like £1, when I'm assuming my mum and sister paid full retail price, which is about £10 each, so we won't talk to them about that. Next 3. Okay, now, these are the books that I did actually get from the charity shop. Some of them I heard of a little bit, some of them were just completely random picks from the shelves. First one that I think everybody knows is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I don't think I've ever read a Sally Rooney book before. So people growing up in the west of Ireland, striking a conversation, blah, blah, blah. And I mentioned that I was going to read this to a friend like a couple years ago, and she was like, I'm just not sure you're in the mental space to read that right now. And I was like, oh, is it that big of a deal? She was like, yeah it is. So now I do believe I'm in a good mental space to read this, but we'll see. I'm assuming lots of people who are even watching this have read this, so if you have, I would love to hear your thoughts. Is it really that traumatizing? We'll see how it goes for me, I guess. Look at this little stack we're getting. All right, this is where it becomes a little bit random with the books I have and how I chose them. This was very much just that sounds interesting, and picked it up. And these are all from charity shops, so they were like £1 or £2 each. So if I don't like it, the investment was not too great. So I got this one called When Breath Becomes Air, What Makes Life Worth Living in the Face of Death. Apparently it's a worldwide bestseller. So it's about a guy who's a neurosurgeon. One day he was a doctor treating the dying, the next he was a patient. So I guess this doctor goes through some thing that, yes, means he becomes the patient himself. That was the worst description of this, and it's probably like a beautiful book. But I also thought that my mum would enjoy this, so I'm gonna read it, see if I think it would be her kind of thing. Yeah, this is one of a handful of books I consider to be a universal donor. I would recommend it to anyone and everyone. So that really struck me. I don't know, it just grabbed me. I thought there was something interesting about that one. Okay, the next book that caught my eye is called Beyond the Coral Sea by Michael Moran. And this is Travels in the Old Empires of the Southwest Pacific. I am unfortunately very ignorant to history everywhere. I stopped taking history at the age of 13 years old at school and just never looked into it at all since then. But I think that's something that is quite important to know, not only about your own country but places around you. So I've kind of been trying in the last few years to learn a bit more about the history of some countries, and obviously I'm based over this way. This is about Papua New Guinea, and I'm very interested. I don't know, I think this will be something that's a bit of a tougher, longer read, but it seems, I mean, the bibliography is so long. I think this might be quite a bit of a heavier read because obviously there's a huge history of colonization there. And yeah, after I read the Jakarta Method, I kind of just had to take a break for a while because that was, yeah, a heavy book. But I think this will be interesting, and I hope it's something I can really like sink my teeth into. Then I've got two books that are just kind of murder mysteries, it seems. So this one is Sworn to Silence by Linda Castillo. I feel like I've heard of this author a few times before. So this is a town of Painters Mill is a sleepy rural place. Only once the peace has been disturbed by a series of brutal unsolved murders. So yeah, it seems to be about a Amish girl. Oh, and then she returns as the chief of police. So that will be quite intriguing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And then this one is called How to Disappear by Gillian McAllister. Do you find that like all books are like a bestseller? It always seems to say like New York bestseller or worldwide bestseller. A lot of people are buying books, I guess. Anyway, Lauren's daughter Zara witnessed a terrible crime, but speaking up comes with a price. And when Zara's identity is revealed online, it puts a target on her back. So we'll see. It seems she's also written a lot of similar books. So if I really enjoy this, that will be nice to see. Oh, the Lake District. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. And then finally, this was one I bought actually as soon as I got to the UK, and I intended to read it when I was in the UK, because although I do like reading, as you can see, some like crime, murder mystery books, I do also like to read romance, like boy meets girl on holiday, falls in love, and yeah, I love to read those kinds of books too, especially as like a bit of a palate cleanser from all the crime. Anyway, as soon as I got there, I went to a charity shop and I found this, Christmas at Mistletoe Cove. Let me just read this to you. Christmas has arrived on gorgeous Hope Island, of course it's an island, promising snowflakes, surprises, and plenty of seasonal romance. Growing up on Hope Island, Eden Lancaster always believed that if you wished hard enough for something, dreams really could come true. But Eden's greatest wish is also her biggest secret. She has been completely in love with her childhood friend, the charming and attractive Dougie Harrison, for as long as she can remember, and he has no idea. Blah, 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 blah. Leaves his successful life in New York to return home to Hope Island. Ugh. Anyway, that just sounds like a bit of me. But when I was at home in the UK, I was so busy I didn't even pick up a book. So I'm actually going to save this for next year around Christmas time. I've also just seen she's got one called Summer at Buttercup Beach, which just looks delightful too. The author is Holly Martin, and just look, the cover is even, yeah. These are just the books I love to get lost into just for a little break from everything, and just, yeah. So that is, oopsie, my book haul and pile to read. However, I told myself I wasn't going to buy another book, obviously till I'd read these, because why would I need to? And I've been making like lists of books that people have recommended that I want to find when I go back next year. However, I just found this like book club that meets, and the reading list, well, the reading book for this month is obviously not one that I had. That would be a huge coincidence. So I did buy that book and it's on the way. Hopefully it will arrive before the meeting, which is next Sunday. Today is now Tuesday and I only ordered it yesterday. So not only has it got to arrive on time, I've also got to wade my way through it before Sunday. So yeah, maybe that's ambitious, but I'm gonna give it a go, I guess, because I want to join a book club, basically. I think, I don't know, it's a book club. Why would you not want to join? That's everything from me. Again, sorry that I disappeared for, it must have been 3 months. No, 2 months. Oof, that's still a long time though. We'll see, we are going back to the UK this December for my sister's wedding. So hopefully I don't leave my phone on an airplane again at that time, and I can actually film some fun things, because I would also just like to have the memories for myself as well to look back on. So that's the plan, and we'll see how that goes. But regardless, I will see you in the next video. I've got a few ideas planned. We're doing like a little kitchen, not renovation, we're just decorating it because it is ugly in there, and I've finally been like, all right, I watch so much of the anti-consumerism and over-consumerism content that I was like, oh, we shouldn't buy anything. But then I'm like, no, we don't have that in the first place. Like, we need some curtains in our kitchen. It's not over-consumerism to buy one set of curtains when you don't have any. So yeah, I'm actually biting the bullet and spending a little bit of money on decorating. Talking about over-consumerism with a whole stack of books behind me. But they're all mostly secondhand. So that's a little bit of a win. Regardless, and the money went to charity. Double win. Regardless, I will see you next time. Thank you for sticking around and watching this. If you did, I really, really appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. Hope you've had an amazing start as well. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.